Well, 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 the usual suspects are at it again with their tired old game. And by the usual suspects, I mean Disney, Kathleen Kennedy, Leslie Headland, and two of their favorite lackeys, siblings in stupidity under the same parent company, Screen Rant and Collider. Because nothing coming out of Disney could be of poor quality, lack creativity, or be crap. As someone who works in marketing, the idea of blaming your customers for every one of your utter failures is just mind-boggling. Disney clearly miscalculated this from the beginning. It's obvious for anyone to see. The only conclusion I can come to is that they figured with this messaging and crap that they've created, they would retain enough of the old audience and bring in an entire new audience that would be enough to make up for the old audience that they lost. And the fact that they've miscalculated this so bad, and instead of course correcting, have just doubled down, tripled down, quadrupled down, just shows how utterly stupid everyone is at every level of that company, which is apparent in all the interviews, the gaslighting, the fan blaming. My sister's a film professor. I could take 4 freshmen out of any of her freshman introductory courses, and they could shred these shows, especially a show like The Acolyte, to pieces from a technical level. Episode 7 just came out, and it's nothing but exposition dumps, contradictions, characters acting out of character, characters we don't even know the character of, and it's the penultimate episode. It's just this wandering mess. Everyone involved in the show is in over their head. It's apparent to everyone watching it. The only reason I can think of Leslie Headland even getting these jobs is that she knows where all of Harvey Weinstein's bodies are buried, and she knows all the people connected to all of his dealings. It's just mind-boggling to watch. $180 million. 7 episodes into this, and we don't know much of anything more than when the thing started. The characters are as one-dimensional as ever. This Collider article was something to behold. Paragraph after paragraph, praising all of the crap Disney has put out, just completely living in their own fantasy world, while at the same time finding every which way to blame the fans. If you're going to go after the original trilogy of one of the biggest IPs on the planet and one of the biggest fandoms, you'd better be pretty damn good at your job, eloquent in speaking, and getting your point across. Here's the culprit of the article who decided to blame everyone and the most popular trilogy of all time, arguably. It's quite apparent from his article he doesn't know much about Star Wars or the history of Star Wars. And one of his main points in the article is that the future of Star Wars should be focused on representation and inclusivity. I would think the future of Star Wars should be focused on good storytelling, good writing, good characters, good production values, and the representation and inclusivity will take care of itself, because yes, those things are important, but to be the main focus? Let's just take a quick little look and a reminder of what Disney looks at as inclusivity and representation. Anyone that's a comic book collector will know this comic. It is a true wonder. You have to read it and see it to even believe that it actually was published, but it was. So let's take just a couple quick looks to remind everyone how Disney sees representation. If you're not a comic book collector, you might not have heard, but Marvel decided to do a what if with Miles Morales as Thor, which in itself is a very interesting concept, until you open up the book and start reading it, and your mind is blown that this somehow went across who knows how many desks, how many editors, and somehow made it to publication. I don't know if I can even read this without laughing, but I will try. Immerse as we traverse the universe. From the vast multiverse comes this dope verse. The stars shine upon the realm of the gods, forge mighty battles with us for his squad. Where's the lightning go after the wars are won? What victories lie for the son of sons? He's got style and he's got flair to boot. With his kicks you know he's in hot pursuit. Old enough to know that he don't know all. He wants to have a ball before the fall. All his dreams rain from the clouds above. He brings the thunder, best believe it, bruv. Gotta get the kicks in there, looking Jordan-esque of course. Have to do it in a hip-hop lyric style because, stereotypes. Way to go, Disney.
All right, way to go, Donnie!
Of all the 5 realms, Asgard is his hood. For miles you can see he's just that good. The Rainbow Bridge takes him to his quest. The Bifrost line goes north, south, east, and west. From Jormungandr to the Wrecking Crew, he stuck Gullinbursti in the Asgard Zoo. But he is low-key when he wants to be. Name on marquees like his Uncle Loki. Odin's son, he's the son of gods and kings. Got so many wins, check out all those rings. Someone seriously wrote this.
What the actual fuck?
If I didn't own this comic book, I wouldn't even believe it exists. It reads like a bad April Fool's joke that some misguided social media manager put out and then got rightfully fired for. I mean, this thing exists. We've got Lady Sif here, instead of being Valkyrie, Hot Wings, because, let's get a hot wing, buffalo wing, chicken joke in there. And instead of by Odin's beard, the classic line here, by Odin's fade. And Odin in this comic is bald. He doesn't even have a fade. So they're literally just wedging as many stereotypes in here as possible.
You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that?
This exists. Disney put this out. They apologized for it, but after this, what the hell is an apology worth? These are the people that people defend. These are the people that are calling us bigots and judging us.
What are you people? On dope?
Word, let's bounce. Fighting the Frost Giants, have to sneak a little flip it and reverse it in there. Missy Elliott would be proud.
I put my thing down, flip it and reverse it.
And of course, you can't pass up an opportunity for some hammer time.
Stop! Hammer time!
So for everyone that attacks fans and say the fans are toxic, the fans are the ones causing all the problems, this company who constantly lies, constantly puts their foot in their mouth, put this comic book out, thinking it was a good idea. If you're taking this company's side, you really need to think long and hard about what you're doing with your life. So now that we've established just how much Disney actually cares about any group, let's take a little look at this gem of a Collider article, blaming the fans for, of course, everything. Keeping in mind, this thing got ratioed to pieces. 236,000 views, so almost 250,000 views on this tweet, and 25 people reposted it, and only 162 people liked it. 162 people out of 250,000 liked and agreed with this article. Like I said, if you're going after an entire fandom and crapping all over the creator and the original trilogy, you'd better really know what you're talking about, and you better be sharp and succinct about communicating that. And this idiot is anything but that. Leslie Headland's groundbreaking series has been relentlessly review-bombed online, causing The Acolyte to possess a huge disparity between its positive critical reception and abysmal audience score on aggregate websites like Rotten Tomatoes. Since the majority of these hate-filled criticisms are either overreactions to alleged continuity errors within the Star Wars universe, or backlash aimed at attacking the show's long-overdue inclusivity, the bad actors spreading them are clearly spinning controversy out of nothing, and this manufactured outrage can be directly traced back to the demographics of the original trilogy. Says the guy spinning manufactured outrage out of nothing. The show's long-overdue inclusivity. All of Disney Star Wars has been inclusivity. Where has this guy been? Has he had his head up his ass the entire time? Not only is he disingenuous in the review bombing, spoke to it in my other video, there is people review bombing because they're just pissed at Disney, but there's also people going out there giving it 5 out of 5 because they love Disney. He doesn't talk about that. Why doesn't he talk about all the reviewers that are shills that have been busted, so many of them busted time and time again, getting paid, getting perks, getting access for interviews? They will sell themselves in a heartbeat for a stupid positive review on Rotten Tomatoes. He doesn't talk anything about that. He doesn't talk anything about all the other shows like Arcane and House of the Dragon that are extremely inclusive, extremely representative. Arcane has just about every person you can think of represented and has a high audience score with no bombing. I spoke about House of the Dragon in my other video. You have an entire house changed from white to black, and you have a gay black prince in an interracial relationship, and no one's review bombing it. Why? Because it's a good show with quality writing and quality actors and characters we care about. We don't care what they look like, who they're sleeping with. We care about what happens to them. I've read the books, so as long as they follow the books for the most part, I know what's going to happen to all these characters, and I'm still engrossed every single Sunday because it's that good. Watching The Acolyte, it's like watching paint dry. There's no up or down to these characters. They act out of sorts all the time. They contradict each other from scene to scene. It's just a complete mess. Anyone can objectively see this. If you like it, cool. I like some stupid ass stuff that sucks. There's nothing wrong with liking this. But to defend it from a technical aspect and a storytelling aspect is just absurd, and then to blame the fans for this is just pathetic. The author speaks to Carrie Fisher being underutilized in favor of her brother Luke. Well, yes, that's what happens when Luke is the main character. You have a main protagonist. He's going to be the focus. It's not like Princess Leia was just kicked to the side. She was strong, she was competent, she was brave, she was everything you would want in a female protagonist. She's just not the main protagonist. How many times has she put Han in his place? This guy acts like she was just sitting in the background, and then he talks about her slave Leia bikini. Yet, he says nothing about the Disney Star Wars sequel trilogy where we have Kylo Ren shirt off, all buff. He says nothing about the Acolyte where we have Smilo Ren and Jedi What's-His-Face all ripped up and shirtless. We got Smilo Ren butt naked, no mention of that. The narrative quality of Disney's sequel trilogy aside, the movie's progressive decision to hire Daisy Ridley as Rey and John Boyega as Finn marked important firsts for the franchise's leads. Yet these casting decisions also resulted in constant online harassment for both actors in the aftermath of their performances, with many detractors trying to drag Star Wars back to a less inclusive past. He provides no receipts. Again, as always, it's the internet. There's always going to be weirdos and psychos that are racist, homophobic, misogynist. They're going to say stupid things. But every time Disney calls these things out, they never provide examples. They just embellish it and make it sound like it's everyone, and then they blame everyone. Look at how many YouTubers are threatened physically with violence, their homes, their families, their pets, just being YouTubers. And those YouTubers provide receipts when they talk about it. Disney acts like they're the first people that have ever had a weirdo online say something stupid. And their genius idea is to project that onto huge amounts of their fandom, their paying customer. Flash forward to The Last Jedi's release in 2017, and this online hate reached a fever pitch. Kelly Marie Tran's heartwarming performance as Rose Tico drew the ire of a racist internet horde, causing Tran to quit Instagram in order to look out for her mental health. Disney immediately did not handle the backlash well. Not only did the final film in the sequel trilogy, 2019's The Rise of Skywalker, greatly reduce Rose's screen time, but the brief lesbian kiss featured in the background at the very end of the movie felt disappointing for audience members who waited so long for sincere queer storylines. In this instance, it felt like the most vocal opponents of the sequel's central performance had won. First of all, Kelly Marie Tran seems like a very sweet person in all of the interviews I've seen of her, and if she had to do that, that's sad that anyone even went after her like that. But to act like Disney reduced the character's screen time because of that is so disingenuous. It was a terribly written character. You can pick so many faults in it. Finn himself leaving the ship to go and try and save his friend Rey is portrayed as a selfish act, and she zaps him, knocks him out, and basically kidnaps him. The character was not written to be likable, and they gave her all these corny lines. Of course, no one's gonna like that character.
I saved you. Tell me. That's how we're gonna win. Not fighting what we hate. Saving what we love.
Why would you give her more screen time? But it's so easy to them just blame the phantom of the toxic fans, and that's why they had to do it, and the queer kiss had to be minimized. They would have just taken it out. The queer kiss was like 2 seconds long, so if it was such a big deal that they had to reduce all this stuff, why did they even keep it in there? One thing they did do, though, was delete that scene for all of their international releases that required it so they can make money and get money from places like China. I don't see any mention of that in the article, though. How convenient. Weird. The corporation is disingenuous and lies and does sneaky things for money. As the bigoted campaigns against Obi-Wan Kenobi's Moses Ingram and the Acolyte prove, Star Wars online hate isn't going away anytime soon. Therefore, it's up to Star Wars creatives to boldly navigate the turbulent waters of the beloved franchise's fandom. In a recent interview with the New York Times, Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy herself acknowledged that women in Star Wars are often subject to audience attacks because of the franchise's vocal male fan base, as well as espousing her belief that storytelling needs to be representative of all people. Here we go once again, blaming the fans for everything. If you look at all the mediums of Disney Star Wars since it started, comic books, the novels, the TV series, and movies, almost everything started with female leads. With the novels, with Aftermath, female leads. The first comic books, female lead. Rogue One, female lead. The sequel trilogy, female lead. No receipts were ever produced for the Moses Ingram accusations. We got the cringe Ewan McGregor in his car looking like a hostage reading from a script. Only reason they want representation is a built-in shield to give them protection, to cover their crappy product. Kenobi sucked because of the writing. Kenobi acting out of character. Scenes just looking pathetic. Fight scenes looking terrible. The stupid thing with the laser fence. Little Leia being the focus, and the corny chase that they had where she looks like a 5-year-old running and the adults are clearly purposely falling and lagging behind. It just looked like a joke. The show was a joke. They wasted Ewan McGregor. They wasted Hayden Christensen. That's why people hated it. It wasn't Moses Ingram. It wasn't Moses Ingram who had little Leia hiding under a trench coat and Obi-Wan Kenobi walking out of the Inquisitor's base. Everyone sees through Disney's games. They're so old and tired, constantly pretending to care about minorities and representative groups and blaming the fans. They've done it 1,000 times and it's finally just caught up with them. It's sad, it's pathetic, and the fact that people sit online and spend hours of their day defending these people is even more pathetic. The most vocal viewers of the franchise wield the power of the internet in order to push a bigoted agenda that originates from the prejudices of an earlier time, while mainstream Star Wars content has grown to produce meaningful narratives while being bogged down by hate in the background. The author in the article itself talked about terrible narratives. Now the narratives are so great. Bigoted agenda. The only agenda is coming from Disney and lackeys like this idiot who will do anything to kiss Disney's ass, either to make his way up the ladder at Collider or to get access and goodies from Disney. Again, 250,000 people and only over 100 people liked it. Shows how out of touch you are. But hey, keep kissing Mickey's ass. See how far that gets you in life.
Good luck. You're gonna need it.
True fans understand that Star Wars universe is a sci-fi wonderland where anything can happen and anyone belongs, and the future looks bright for those who have already opened up their minds to the compassion that all audience members should have learned a long time ago. Now maybe it's because he's a little young. Growing up, I had a lot of friends that were Star Wars fans. Every background, every race, religion. Friends who I knew back then were gay that ended up coming out as gay. You look at the old videos at premieres, it's every kind of face and person you can think of, all excited, all talking about one thing, Star Wars. It wasn't until corporations like Disney got involved and started dividing fandom in a malicious, greedy way. But the problem is they counted on a new audience coming in, replacing the bulk of the old, and that didn't happen. And they've been treading water and at this point sinking to the bottom of the ocean ever since. This will go down as one of the biggest miscalculations in Hollywood and corporate history. To purchase this IP where it was, for the amount it was purchased for, and how far its reputation has fallen, how low ratings are, each subsequent movie doing worse and worse, Disney has utterly fumbled this at almost every single level since they've purchased Lucasfilm. Inclusivity and representation is important. And the thing is, if they were telling great stories, putting out great movies, creating great shows, none of this would matter. No one would be talking about this. We'd be talking about how great it is. Look at the talk around House of the Dragon. All anyone's talking about is how great the last episode was and what's going to happen in the next episode. And the people that have read the books are trying to keep quiet and not ruin things for the people that haven't. And it's like, but you want to tell people because you're so excited because you know what's coming next. That's what fandom is. Disney has completely neutered that from Lucasfilm and Star Wars. They sow hate, they sow division. It's their business now. It's a joke. Everyone knows it. It doesn't matter. Disney can have all these propaganda campaigns. They can get every article writer, every author they want to write these smear pieces. It doesn't matter. It's not going to bring the ratings up. It's not going to make these things profitable. At the end of the day, they're still burning money and they're still losing fans. All the puff pieces, all the propaganda pieces in the world doesn't change that. It doesn't hide the fact. At the end of the day, they're losing money and fans. Disney used to be a company that created a fantasy world that we all love to live in. Now, it's all of us in the real world watching Disney stuck in their own fantasyland creation of their own. No one's going to feel sorry for Disney except for the handful of sycophants they have left, and Disney's brought this on themselves. It's just a giant company of bumbling fools who don't understand entertainment, storytelling, characters, and sure as hell don't understand Star Wars. But hey, who cares? It's our fault, the fans.